Hi, I'm Sensei Miller here from Warrior Concepts, Black Belt and Life Mastery Academy here in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania. And if you're a serious parent concerned about your child's safety and future success, then this video is for you. You see, after growing up around domestic abuse, bullying, and the low self-esteem and sense of loss that created, I became intimately aware of and all too familiar with the pain, suffering, and worse that this created for both the victims and those who loved and cared about them. So as soon as I was able, I set out to gain the knowledge and skills necessary to reverse these things, not just for myself, but also for my own children, so they wouldn't have to experience the same pain, low self-confidence, and sense of powerlessness that I did growing up. As a part of that, I also became a police officer so I could protect others from what I had experienced, lived through, and survived since early childhood. In the hopes of stopping the aggressors from causing the damage and destruction, I also set out to learn all I could to understand both the problems and solutions that would change the outcome for as many others as possible from the monsters I knew existed in the world. You see, the more I studied, the more I learned about those lessons being taught to children to supposedly prevent many of these issues from happening. Naturally, I began teaching these same things to my own children as a part of the prevention process. But from my position as a police officer, I saw again and again the anguish on parents' faces after their children were abducted or assaulted. How could this be possible? After all, every child knew the stranger rules. I watched children's spirits being crushed, their bodies beaten, and their self-esteem shattered by bullies who went out of their way to target their happy, intelligent, and compassionate victims. I asked myself, how could this happen? After all, every child was being taught to ignore the bully or to tell an adult. I understood the victim's feelings because these were the same lessons that I got as a child, only to be beaten harder and afterwards because the bully got in trouble and sought revenge on me afterwards. My parents called the police, spoke to the bully's parents, and even demanded that teachers and school administrators do something to make it stop. But it never did, at least not for very long. I became a police officer to protect people, adults and children alike, but after 7 years, 7 long, excruciating years, I felt more like a secretary in a uniform doing reports on victims instead. To say that I felt like a failure, like I wasn't living to my purpose, would be a serious understatement. And that's when I had my big breakthrough, the epiphany that changed everything. I kept thinking about the contradiction. Every child being abducted knew the stranger rules. Every child being bullied knew what to do if they were being bullied. And every parent felt proud that they had done their duty to make sure their children knew these things. But abductions, assaults, harassment, and bullying not only continued, but were actually becoming more and more common. My aha moment came when it all clicked for me. The problem wasn't that bad people existed in the world. That was a given, and wishing that things were different wasn't going to solve the problem. No, the problem was in what was being taught as the solution to the problem. The stranger rules missed the fact that little children are not adult brains in little bodies, and therefore didn't have the same understanding that parents were teaching from. These lessons missed the gap between parents, grandparents, and others teaching the rules because they wanted to keep children safe, and the fact that young children learn the lessons because it makes the adult in their life happy when they get the answer right, not because they understood the dangers that existed. The anti-bullying rules missed the fact that there are different types of bullies, each having his or her own tactics and victims that they look for that those tactics would work on. These lessons missed not only the manipulative nature of bullies, but also the personality traits and lack of skill sets needed by their targets to effectively make a bully ignore them as a potential target in the first place. That's when I realized what I had to do. I had to get out of responsive, reactive mode, only being able to help after the damage was done, to getting out in front of the problem and teach the right lessons that would really make a difference. That's when I decided to trade in a police officer's uniform, for that of a martial arts teacher who knew how to make threats go away before they ever appeared, before the damage could be done. And that's when everything changed for me and the students and parents who would come to me looking for a solution that worked, really worked, and not just a canned set of parroted lessons that made people feel safe and confident, to making the changes that actually work to produce real results. To say that I found my life purpose again would be an understatement, because over the past 42 years, I've had the pleasure of watching my students go from being bullied or from exhibiting the signs that abductors and abusers look for to having the knowledge and skills necessary to avoid, dissuade, and, if necessary, physically protect themselves from an attack. I've had students like James, a quiet, shy 10-year-old who seemed to be in his own little world and with a constant smile that brought joy, but also left his parents and I wondering if he was actually getting the lessons being taught in class. But on the day that the bully who had been constantly calling him names and making threats chose to come at him with actual violence, James confidently used what he learned to control the situation, avoid the attack, and leave his would-be attacker in a holly bush without ever laying a hand on him. The bully and his friends never taunted James again. Or students like Cassie, a beautiful 4-year-old little girl who had been sexually assaulted by a family member and left living with constant night terrors and a timid nature that was robbing her of the fun of childhood, hiding behind her grandparents at every turn when out of the house. But after developing the skills and knowledge to take care of herself, she quickly outgrew the nightmares and timidity and grew to be a confident, powerful woman and mother in control of her life and her happiness. Although I haven't seen James or Cassie in many years, I know that the confidence, respect, focus, discipline, and yes, self-defense skills they learned have gone past protecting themselves from danger to other life success benefits as well. Can you imagine how much farther a child, your child, could go if they were able to deter a potential attacker, to never be on the attacker's radar as a possible target in the first place, and if the attacker did appear, was able to take confident, decisive action to avoid, escape from, or stop the attacker quickly and easily? Here's why I'm sharing this with you. It's not to brag, but to make sure you understand that the conventional lessons that everyone's using, the lessons that are easy to teach and are supposed to work, don't. And to offer you an alternative if you're the serious concerned parent that I think you are. It's to give you and your child the chance to get the same benefits that the martial arts have always been known for. The benefits that others, just like you, have been enjoying for literally thousands of years. If this describes you, then I'd like to invite you to give your child the gift of confidence, focus, and rock-solid self-defense skills. Because here at Warrior Concepts, we know that many parents are looking for ways to help their children to grow to be as safe and successful as possible, to gain the benefits the martial arts have always been known for, but just don't know where to start. That's why we created our unique Warrior Concepts Youth Mastery programs, like our 6-week Strong Kids Safe Kid introductory course. It's not just martial arts or personal development for kids, but the quickest way to a parent's peace of mind. The next session of this program is starting very soon, but we have a strict limit of 30 children in this unique, one-of-a-kind program that's proven to create the results you're looking for. Over the course of 6 weeks, your child will become more confident, feel more secure, and know how to become, quite simply, hard to hurt, which will help you relax and have the peace of mind you're looking for. How's that sound? Okay? I know it'll work for you, but as always, the choice is yours. But why wouldn't you want to at least discuss the possibility and see if this will be a good fit for you and your child? Violence is random. We never know when, where, or how it will strike, and we need to be ready before it does. If you're already dealing with bullying or concerned about the way the world is going, then you already know the debilitating effects this causes and can cause in your child's future success. You can't afford to wait until the next time we run this program. But again, the choice is yours. You can take one of 3 routes to get your child what they need. 1, you can continue on, hoping that something never happens or that things don't get worse. 2, you can try to figure it out, taking the same amount of time it took me, hoping that nothing happens before you do. Or you can find someone who's figured it out and who has a track record of getting students and parents to where you want to be as quickly and easily as possible. And if that's you, to take the next step, just click on the link somewhere on or around or below this video to get more information. And if you'd like to proceed from there, book an information call to discuss your fears, your concerns, and needs. And if the program is a good fit for you and us, I or one of my professional and friendly staff members will help you get your child the lessons and skills that will create the positive change you're looking for. But remember, this is a limited time offer. There are only 30 spots available. This is so that I and my staff can provide students the personal attention each needs to succeed. So go ahead and click the link to get started. And I look forward to speaking with and meeting you and your child very soon.